I basically learn whatever I need to learn to accomplish an objective. I think actually most people could do this, but they often self-limit. People are capable of more than they think. I mean, what I found is if you simply read a lot of books and talk to people, you can learn almost anything. Well, this is, of course, back in the days before there were video games, and TV wasn't very good either. So, I was actually, for quite a while, the youngest and the smallest in the class. And my parents moved a lot, so I went through 6 different schools. So it was difficult to, you'd make friends, and then 1 year, and then you'd be in a new school the next. So books certainly were something that I found comforting, and I would read all the time, just all the time, morning to night.
That third failure in a row, did you think, I need to pack this in?
Never.
Why not?
I don't ever give up. I mean, I'd have to be dead or completely incapacitated.
8 weeks later, Musk bet the company on another flight.
We have liftoff.
And this time around, everything worked.
Perfect.
If that 4th launch hadn't worked, that would have been it. We would have not had the resources to mount a 5th.
You could have bought an island and,
Yes.
and just you could have sipped cocktails for the rest of your life. Why did you want to take the risks involved in these businesses that you've gone into?
Well, I have to say, at times I've wondered, I wondered if it was really the right choice, but it has actually been a very difficult journey, I have to say.
Yeah.
But I think there are certain important things that we must do in order for the future to be good. We must have sustainable energy. If we don't have that, the future is going to be terrible.
Were you a little naive when you thought, I can easily build an electric car and a rocket?
I didn't think it would be easy. Like I said, I thought they would probably fail. But creating a company is almost like having a child. So it's sort of like, how do you say your child should not have food?
So once you have the company, you have to feed it and nurse it and take care of it, even if it ruins you.
Yeah.
But suppose there were some tough times in 2008, end of 2008. How did you get through that period of crisis?
Yeah. Can we just break for a second?
Sure, of course. Yeah.
In the long term, what we'd like to do is to establish a city on Mars and help make humanity a multi-planet species and a true spacefaring civilization. That's the ultimate goal.
Why?
Well, I mean, if something goes wrong with Earth, then the light of consciousness is not extinguished.
Some, of course, would say this is far-fetched to go to Mars and be able to build a colony on this red star.
I'm not saying we will do it. I'm just saying we're going to try. So that's when I decided to start a rocket company. And I actually didn't think it would succeed. And it almost didn't. So we started off developing a small rocket, which was kind of a scale model version. It was about 100,000 pounds of thrust, so big by normal standards, but small for a rocket. And developed the engine and the airframe and the electronics and the guidance control system, and then proceeded to have 3 failed launches in a row. So this is 2008. And so we're heading into the recession, and we had 1 rocket left. Unfortunately, in late 2008, that 4th launch did work, and we made it to orbit. And then we won a NASA contract after that. And so fortunately things worked out. But if that fourth launch had not worked, then SpaceX wouldn't be around. So it was a very close call. In fact, when I started, I thought, okay, I've got enough money. I think I've got enough money for 3 launches. Unfortunately, it was just enough to make that fourth one. Some of them are going to sound like, well, you've heard it before, but it's worth re-emphasizing. I think the first is you need to work, depending upon how well you want to do, and particularly if you're starting a company, you need to work super hard. So what does super hard mean? Well, when my brother and I were starting our first company, instead of getting an apartment, we just rented a small office and we slept on the couch. And we showered at the YMCA, and we're so hot up we had just one computer. So the website was up during the day, and I was coding at night, 7 days a week, all the time. And I sort of briefly had a girlfriend in that period, and in order to be with me, she had to sleep in the office. So work hard, like every waking hour. That's the thing I would say particularly if you're starting a company. And I mean, if you do simple math, say like, okay, if somebody else is working 50 hours and you're working 100, you'll get twice as much done in the course of a year as the other company.
So your college degree is from business and physics. You only spent 3 days in a PhD program. So my guess is that, I'm pretty sure you're self-taught. You learned all these hard science engineering, computer programming, physics, and all others by yourself, engineering. How did you do that? Tell us, a student, that you can do that without going through the formal programs, basically.
Oh, sure, you can learn much faster than the formal programs.
You can learn faster than formal programs. Tell us, share some secrets with us. How
Just
can
read
you do
lots
that?
of books.
Huh? Read a lot of books.
Read a lot of books and talk to a lot of people.
You can become rocket scientists by reading books without...
Well, and experimenting, of course. I mean, experiments and books. You need to, because sometimes the things in the books are not correct.
Okay.
But that's basically how it works. I mean, you can learn things very quickly if you just read the books. I mean, information is all there. I mean, at the risk of sounding like a robot, your data rate in reading books is much faster than in a lecture. You can read information far faster than you can hear it. So then it's much faster to read.
Well, I'm a little bit worried we'll be out of a job now if that's the case.
People who've been in the rocketry business for decades, who say about you that you don't know what you don't know.
Well, I suppose that's true of anyone. How can anyone know what they don't know?
But when critics say you can't do this, your answer to them is,
we've done it.
He's done it in partnership with NASA, which has given SpaceX technical advice and a contract worth up to $1.6 billion.
There are American heroes who don't like this idea. Neil Armstrong, Gene Cernan have both testified against commercial spaceflight in the way that you're developing it, and I wonder what you think of that.
I was very sad to see that, because those guys are, those guys are heroes of mine, so it's really tough. I wish they would come and visit and see the hardware that we're doing here. And I think that would change their mind.
They inspired you to do this, didn't they?
Yes.
And to see them casting stones in your direction.
It's difficult.
Did you expect them to cheer you on?
Certainly hoping they would. Well, I'm surprised by the whole thing, honestly. I certainly didn't expect to be for any of these things to happen, honestly. I just I knew I wanted to be involved in technology, and in fact, the only reason I started a company back in '95, an internet company, was because I couldn't get it. There were only a few internet companies, and I couldn't get a job at any of them. So I tried to get a job at Netscape, and sent my resume in and tried hanging out in the lobby, but I was too shy to talk to anyone. And then I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll have to start a company because I can't get a job anywhere.
I usually describe myself as an engineer. That's basically what I've been doing since I was a kid. I'm interested in things that change the world or that affect the future and wondrous new technology.
2008, the rocket company is not going well. You've had 3 failures.
Right.
The car company is hemorrhaging money.
Yeah.
And the American economy has tanked in the worst recession since the Great Depression.
Right.
What was that year like for you?
And I'm getting divorced, by the way. add to that. That was definitely the worst year of my life. I remember waking up the Sunday before Christmas in 2008 and thinking to myself, man, I never thought I was someone who could ever be capable of a nervous breakdown. But I felt this was the closest I've ever come. Because it seemed pretty dark.
T-minus 30 seconds, mark.
Toward the end of 2008, SpaceX prepared its 4th attempt.
We were running on fumes at that point. We had virtually no money.
So a 4th failure...
A 4th failure would have been absolutely game over.
Done. SpaceX, bankrupt.
Yeah, it's bad enough to have 3 strikes. Having 4 strikes, it's really kaput.
But Flight 4 was flawless. In Musk's world, it lit the darkness. Then, as often, the week of Christmas became a time when little boy dreams are answered.
NASA called and told us that we'd won a $1.5 billion contract. And I couldn't even hold the phone. It's like, I just blurted out, I love you guys.
They saved you.
Yeah, they did.
Financially and maybe even emotionally.
I'll tell you what, that was definitely helpful. Yeah.
2 days later, on Christmas Eve, Tesla's investors decided to pour in more money.
So you were saved in the period of 3 days.
Yeah.
By 2 completely unexpected events.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely. That's for sure.
Liftoff of the Falcon 9.
The rockets haven't failed since. His cargo capsule has docked 3 times with the space station.
Capture is confirmed.
And in the California plant, they're fitting seats for what they hope will be eventual manned missions. SpaceX is also testing a rocket that can be reused, softly landing on a column of flame. Another step on a longer journey.
It's really a fundamental decision we need to make as a civilization. What kind of future do we want? Do we want a future where we are forever confined to one planet until some eventual extinction event, however far in the future that might occur? Or do we want to become a multi-planet species and then ultimately be out there among the stars and be among many planets, many star systems? And I think the latter is a far more exciting and inspiring future than the former. And Mars is the next natural step. In fact, it's the only planet we really have a shot at establishing a self-sustaining city on. And I think once we do establish such a city, there will be a strong forcing function for the improvement of spaceflight technology that will then enable us to establish colonies elsewhere in the solar system and ultimately extend beyond our solar system. And so there's the defensive reason of protecting the future of humanity, ensuring that the light of consciousness is not extinguished should some calamity befall Earth. But also, and that's the defensive reason. But personally, I find what gets me more excited is the fact that this would be an incredible adventure. I mean, it would be like the greatest adventure ever. And it would be exciting and inspiring. And there need to be things that excite and inspire people.
Yeah.
You have to be, reasons why you get up in the morning. It can't just be solving problems. It's got to be, something great's going to happen in the future.
Yeah.